Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United versus Tottenham FA Cup semi-final. This is win or bust. Leave nothing behind. Fans, players, managers, no messing around. We've got to win this game. I think we can win this game and we have to win it. Look, Mourinho's obsessed with finishing second. I'm going to tell you now, sit down Jose and sit down anybody who think that matters. 4th place in the league this year. There's no qualifier. 4th, 3rd, 2nd go into the group stage of the Champions League. So, I finished second. Well, let me just throw this and tell you exactly why second to me doesn't mean that much. Because Liverpool and Spurs finished 3rd and 4th, right? Okay, if we get knocked out on Saturday and Spurs win the FA Cup and finish 4th, that's better than 2nd and nothing. If Liverpool finish 3rd and win the Champions League, that's better than 2nd. So this 2nd place means next to nothing to me, and we're going to finish top 4. We might need a couple of more points to do it. We'll definitely finish top 4. So park that. If we go out on Saturday night, that's season over. It's on the beach time. It's disappointing. So we cannot waste this massive opportunity. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. We'll have the predicted 11. We're going to talk Pochettino versus Mourinho because a lot of people want us to talk about that. We're also going to talk about, obviously, the game itself. But, you know, throw everything you've got at this because we must win this game. I'm absolutely buzzing. I cannot wait for it. But I have no qualms about it. It's not a foregone conclusion. I think we're going to win it. But based on what? A hunch, probably. But we must drop Alexis Sanchez. And I know straight away people are going to go, you're deluded. What are you talking about, Mark? Alexis Sanchez is a fantastic player. Alexis Sanchez is a fantastic player. Today he's come out and said, I'm not playing in the World Cup. I'm going to come back 2 weeks early to start training in June and get myself ready for next season. Well done, Alexi. Well done. Still sit down on the bench. All this nonsense about, oh, he's an ex-Arsenal player. He hates Tottenham. What shirt's he going to wear on Saturday? Manchester United. I don't care whether he hates Tottenham because of Arsenal. Not interested. What I am interested in, Herrera and Pogba played fantastically well last night. Sanchez had 45 good minutes against City, and that's pretty much it since January. Pogba has shown very recently what he can do. Remove the obstacle that gets in the way of making Pogba play well. That's Alexis Sanchez. I would start Sanchez on the right, but Mourinho won't do that. He cannot start on the left-hand side. We might get away with it against Spurs. Maybe they'll just hit it because it's an FA Cup semi-final and it'll work really well. But there's no longevity in it. No longevity in it. Sanchez wants to come inside. Pogba wants to go forward and they hit each other. And they don't work well together. Play Rashford or Martial on the left. They'll hug the touchline and Pogba's got the freedom of Wembley. And it's a big, big freedom. I mean, that's the only thing I would say in favour about Sanchez is it's a big pitch, so maybe they can both come inside and go forward and avoid each other because it's such a big pitch. But realistically, Mourinho talks about consistency. Let's get some bloody consistency in the way we're going to play. Why take a step back anyway? Why go back to the Sanchez and Pogba thing that might work for one game but then will fall apart again spectacularly? We've seen it so many times. Will Pogba play? I mean, that's a great comment there. Will Pogba actually play on Saturday? He should do. He should do. But I also think Mourinho needs to follow through on what he said on Monday, that certain people who played in that West Brom game, no matter what, are not going to play in this game on Saturday. Well, Pogba and Herrera are going to play. Matic is going to play. Lukaku's going to play. Valencia's going to play. So he's got to drop a couple of them. I would imagine Mata, and I would hope. I just really think that Sanchez shouldn't play, and we should be brave and go with something. And I'm not even, a massive fan of Martial FC forever and all that. But actually, even if he played Rashford, I don't mind because Rashford hogs the touchline. He won't come into the space that Pogba wants. Just don't let him take corners or free kicks. In the context of the game, Mourinho versus Pochettino, Spurs, is there an advantage for Spurs because it's at Wembley? I'm not bothered. There's loads of Manchester United fans going to that game and it will be a 50-50 split. It's Wembley. Spurs will have the advantage because they're used to playing on that pitch, but there won't be an atmosphere that makes it more preferable or more intimidating for Manchester United. In relation to atmosphere, it will be a 50-50 split. It's the experience on the pitch that Spurs have got that could lean in towards them. But the reality is Spurs are a very good team. But as we sit here now, and the FA Cup semi-final's not been played, who's had the better season? Spurs and United went out at the same stage in the Champions League. The League Cup can sit down, not interested in that. And in relation to the league, we're second, they're fourth. I mean, it might not finish like that. But as things stand now, you'd have to say Jose Mourinho, Manchester United have had factually the better season. Whose season would I rather have? Spurs. I'm not going to lie, I would rather have Spurs. I've seen Spurs play quite a lot this season. I like the way they press. I like the way they play football. But this is the thing. They lack a spine. They had a terrible November. They've been other places like Juventus. They lack experience and they lack a spine. And until they win something, that is always going to be the problem with both Pochettino and with Spurs. And they do struggle with that. Another thing I've got to bring in, it was mentioned on the watch-along yesterday, and this appalls me. I don't know what you lot think, but Sanchez up front, says Josh Cox, not a terrible idea. This is factual. Now, I haven't seen it updated, but it was factual in January, so I'd imagine it's probably around the same now. Out of all the 20 teams in the Premier League this season, Manchester United have covered the least amount of distance. And I think that's appalling. I think it's shocking for a club that has always been risk-taking and aggressive. When you think of risk takers, when you think of aggression, you think of people chasing after the ball, quick on the attack, loads of people making runs here, there and everywhere. To be 20th in the Premier League for distance covered, that means teams like Stoke, West Brom have covered more distance than us this season. That is an absolute disgrace. Now, so I've heard people reacting to it when we tweeted it, saying it's laziness, it's a lack of passion, it's a park the bus mentality. Well, it's clearly a combination of all three, but actually the most important part of that is tactical. It's tactical. Players have got their own mind, but if they're told not to press, and it was annoying me last night against Bournemouth, and it's annoyed me all season, and I don't know what you think, but one thing I did see from Bournemouth yesterday, a couple of times, Ake did it, the centre-back, he just wandered in, and I remember the West Brom player doing it last weekend as well, and I remember Leicester doing it with Harry Maguire a couple of times. Their centre-back can just wander in to nearly the edge of our box without being tackled. Now, if you think about, obviously City, but Spurs, they're straight in, they're pressing in the half of that defender. So they've got to either find a really good pass quickly or they're going to give possession away. United, the reason we don't cover so, it's pitiful. 20th out of 20 in the Premier League, bottom of the league for distance covered. But it's because we sit back. We sit back and let teams come at us and we're not aggressive. And that needs to change. That needs to change. That comes from the coaching staff. That comes from Mourinho. And that is really archaic. And the reason I mention it on the preview is we can't get away with that on Saturday. Spurs are going to press the life out of us. We cannot just sit back and let them come at us. They've got really quick, intricate players. Eriksen, Dembele, Lamela if he plays, Son, Dele Alli. If we sit back, they'll bang, 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 and they'll cut us apart like they did in the first 20 minutes. And I know that was down to Young, and it was a Jones cross that went in, but we've got to be very careful of the Spurs press. And I pray to God that doesn't mean that we see Fellaini in the team because we can bypass the press with a long ball from De Gea. We've got to be better than that. We can play good football. We can press. But that's one thing that I did want to bring into the preview that is absolutely shocking from United this season. To be bottom of the league for distance covered, it's not laziness, it's not a lack of passion, that's tactical. To be that, you think every single club in the Premier League has chased the ball down more than us. It's not good enough. That's how we conceded against Spurs at Wembley, says A7 Alexi. You need to add more than that, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. Just get through the first 1 minute and 10 seconds this time, says Paul J. And Spurs are good at pressing, says Kieran Byrne. Well, they are. They're very good at pressing. They're not as good as City, but they are a good team at pressing. Let's talk the starting lineup, because I know a lot of people want to do that. Then we're going to talk Mourinho versus Pochettino, because I've got an interesting spin on that, and I know a lot of people would like Pochettino to be Manchester United manager, but I don't want to go there. I've clicked the wrong thing. Let's go to the team lineup. He says. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, thanks for the contribution, J Lawson 2504. I don't know what we're doing for subscribers tonight, but we're very close to 115,000 subscribers. So if you can share the video and let's try and get a few new people in. And if you are new, bottom right hand corner, click that subscribe button. It would be epic to go past 215,000 when we're not on a watch along or a Sunday night show. On a preview, it'd be great. Maybe it'd be a good sign for the weekend. So, yeah, in relation to the lineup here, Spurs not that great, Mark. We will prove that on the weekend, says Mike York. I tell you what, Mike, I totally agree with you. I think there is a real opportunity to win this game. I think we will win it. I'll give you my score prediction in a minute. But this is my predicted 11. This is not what I think I would do. This is what I think Jose Mourinho is going to do. I've started off with Matic, Valencia and De Gea because he's basically said that Valencia and Matic are definitely playing. And you'd imagine De Gea will start because Romero's got an injury anyway. So, and I would still do that. Ashley Young obviously will play at left back. to be honest with you, Luke Shaw looked a little bit too rusty to play anyway. He's not going to play anybody else there, is he? Centre-backs, he's got... I mean, I don't know why Bailey's not played the last 2 games. I'm worried that he's carrying an injury because I would have thought give him a little bit of time. He's got to play if he is fit. Now, I think that as stupid as it sounds, and I know a lot of people won't necessarily agree with this, but as stupid as it sounds, I think that Phil Jones will play there, not Daley Blind. I'll change that now. So I think it will be Phil Jones who plays, because I've always said this all season, and I've been very, very consistent, that I think that Mourinho's first choice centre backs are Bailly and Jones. And you know, you've got the 2 goals that Spurs scored right there for you, Jones and Young, and it'd be a very brave decision by Jose to do it. But Jose is brave, and I think that will be the team. Smalling potentially might play. I would go with Smalling, but I've got a funny feeling he's going to play Phil Jones because he likes that Bailly Jones thing. However, if you remember that Spurs game, Harry Kane latched on to Phil Jones and won most ball in the air. That, for me, would be why I would play Smalling. And hopefully he will do. That's probably the one position I'm not that confident on. He might go Smalling. I hope he goes Smalling to deal with Kane's height. But I've got a funny feeling he might go with Phil Jones on that one. As we move into the midfield, we know Matic is going to play. Pogba has to play. I'm not 100% sure he is going to play because of the comments at the start of the week by Jose. But if he doesn't start him and it goes wrong, Mourinho's in a world of pain from the press and the fans and everything. So he's got to play. He's got to play Pogba, and he's got to play Herrera. Now, what I would say here is I'm also a little bit worried about it. I've got a funny feeling as well that Fellaini's got a chance of starting in this game simply to bypass the press of Spurs and hit the ball long up the pitch and get Fellaini to control it, and you're up there. So I've got a funny feeling Fellaini might play, but it's got to be Herrera. I mean, if Herrera doesn't start on Saturday, that's worse than Pogba not starting, because Herrera was just immense against Bournemouth, and he has to start. If he doesn't start, it's a sin, in the word of the Pet Shop Boys. So that's how I think the midfield will go, and I'd be very happy with that. And I think a 4-3-3, you've got to do that. And what I've got to say as well is, if Pogba does play, Dembele bosses Manchester United. He's done it for years. It's nothing to do with Mourinho's United or Van Gaal's United. I remember him doing it against Sir Alex Ferguson when he was at Fulham. He's very good against Manchester United, and somebody's got to deal with him, which is again why I think it's really important that Herrera plays, because he's the one midfielder we've got who's quite quick across the ground and tenacious. Dembele against people like Fellaini, Matic and Pogba, he can get away with them too. He can run with the ball, and it's a massive game for Pogba if he plays. Dembele tends to run the midfield against United, so we must be careful about Spurs. Obviously they deserve that credit. Now, I think Sanchez will play on the left. I don't agree with this. I think Sanchez will play on the left. And I think that the rest, I think Lingard will play on the right because he took him off early. And obviously, where's Lukaku? He's definitely going to play up front. So that's how I think United are going to start against Spurs at the weekend. DJ Larson, don't think Shaw did much yesterday. Then Ashley Young. Well, Ashley Young doesn't do much anyway, in my opinion. So that's how I think we'll line up. And again, it creates that big problem there that Sanchez and Pogba want to go into that space. And if you play Rashford or you play Martial, they want to go into these spaces here. It's a bit like a ship, isn't it? Whereas Sanchez wants to come into this space here and get in Pogba's space. That's why I would not do it. And I've spoken about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I wouldn't do it. But that's my 11. That's how United, I think, will start. Moussa Dembele is a massively underrated player, says Luis Castillon. I don't think he's amongst the Manchester United community. I think a lot of you lot like him. I certainly like him. Kieran Byrne, I agree with you. I think Fellaini will start. I think Mourinho sort of slipped him in through the back door against Bournemouth, didn't he? And everyone was talking positive about Pogba and Herrera and Rashford and Martial. And we all thought Fellaini was finished at United, but he slipped him in through the back door, and he'll start playing him now because there wasn't much of a reaction to that. I think it's you know, I'm obviously Mourinho in, and I think we'll win this game. But I think the treatment of Scott McTominay hasn't got the coverage it deserves. It really hasn't. I think Scott McTominay has had a good season when he's played, and to not be given an opportunity after everybody played rubbish on Sunday to put himself forward to be in an FA Cup final, I think that's shocking. And I don't know why Fellaini was given that opportunity. He didn't play badly, but I don't think McTominay would have played badly. Favourites again. 100% the lineup, I think we will be the same, says Google. I don't understand why Jose doesn't play Sanchez behind Lukaku. He always cuts inside anyway. Then we could play Rashford right and Martial left. but you'd have to go to a midfield 2 to do that. We can't do a midfield 2, Richard. That's the problem. You're playing a 4-2-3-1 with that. So my score prediction, I'm going to go with Manchester United to win it 2-1. I think it's going to be a cracking game. If we don't win it, I think we'll get beat about 4-0. I think it's going to be one of the two. But I do think we're going to win. I think we're going to turn up in this. And if you look at one thing that is very consistent with Mourinho at United is we do have bad results. We have Sevilla's, we have West Brom, we have Huddersfield's, we have Newcastle's. Of course we do. But we also have results that get a little bit forgotten. Your Arsenal's away, your Chelsea at home, your Liverpool at home, your Man City away. In the big games, when it matters, Mourinho's got a funny way of pulling a result out. And I think we'll pull a result out on Saturday. And we need to. I don't want the season to be over on Saturday night. And it is. It is. For those people joining late, I don't give a damn about finishing second, because if Liverpool finish third and win the Champions League, that sits us down. And even if Spurs finish fourth and win the FA Cup, that's better than coming second and winning nothing. Second's the first loser. So we've got to do it on the weekend. Tottenham are annoying, says Devon Ash. I don't mind Tottenham, to be honest. Damien says, I think Spurs will outplay us. Mark, look, I think it's going to be a fantastic game. And I think what Manchester United need to do from minute one is start well and build confidence. Remember, we've been to Wembley back in January and we got beat and we got played off the park and we didn't deserve anything, and Spurs will have that confidence advantage. United need to start well. United are a confidence team. United are a team that we never know which United's going to turn up. The good United or the terrible United. And if they don't turn up on Saturday, they won't go through. If we do turn up, I think we will win. But that's, again, why I think you've got to remove as many obstacles as you can in a game like that, where confidence is key and you want to build momentum early on. If we start that game badly because we start to lose the midfield battle because people like Dembele get on top of Pogba and he puts a few passes away and then he tries to go forward but Sanchez is in his space and he's got nobody to hit it to the left. I mean, that's something that I've not really mentioned, but it's not just the fact that Sanchez is in front of Pogba in his position. It's also that Pogba hasn't got an outlet ball on the left. Like when Pogba gets the ball, if you watch him, he's looking on the left if Martial's there or Rashford's there because he knows they're there. Sanchez won't be there. He might have wandered off on the right wing. He's in front of Pogba, but he's not where he needs to be on that left-hand side. Now, that's not Sanchez's fault. Mourinho's told him that. But if we start badly and Pogba's head drops and Sanchez isn't getting much service because he keeps giving it away and Lukaku's getting no service and Lingard's not getting the ball and Herrera's running around trying to get the ball and Matic is overworked, then suddenly that momentum starts to build for Spurs. We've got to start well. I think, you know what? If it was my team, I'd start Martial on the left. I'd still keep Lingard on the right and I'd put Sanchez on the bench as an impact sub. I think that, you know, maybe Sanchez just needs to build some momentum in a United shirt, and what an impact sub he would be. I think when a player's not performing, and let's be honest, since January, Sanchez has not performed to his top class, world class ability. He's nowhere near that. So we've tried starting him every week. That's not worked, and he's just becoming frustrated, and it's, you know, not doing well. How's about let's just start him on the bench? Let's try and build some momentum, and it would work really well. Please do drop a like on the video if you're watching. We're 9 subscribers away from 215,000 subscribers live on this preview, which is quite an epic moment. It doesn't normally fall like that when you're so close. So subscribe to the channel if you're new, bottom right corner. If you're not new, please hit the share button underneath and just share this link on Twitter and Facebook, and let's try and pull some newbies in and just keep saying in the live comments, subscribe if you're new. Let's see if we can go past it, because I think that'll be a massive good omen. If we hit 215,000 subscribers on the preview for the Spurs FA Cup semi-final, we can all say that was the omen that means we're going to win it. And do hit the like button. Let's see if we can get 500 likes as well. What did I think about Jesse Lingard last night, Dion Albert? It's funny. Jesse Lingard, the BBC gave him man of the match. I remember when I did my match reaction, I said 5 and I knocked it up to a 6 because of the assist. I thought Lingard gave the ball away a lot yesterday. I think out of Lingard, Martial and Rashford, none of them was great, but I would say Lingard was the worst of the 3. But I don't think he was terrible. I think he was just average. But I think he will start. And Lingard does well at Wembley. I would start Lingard at Wembley. There's something about it. And you know what it is? It's nothing to do with superstition or he just likes Wembley. It's a big pitch. And Lingard makes good runs. And that's why Lingard at Wembley is a good player. And he likes to spin and turn with the ball. And there's a lot of space for him to do that. But having said that, when he played at Wembley against Spurs in January, he was crap. Because Spurs are a top team and they don't let people spin and turn. Herrera was so good last night, he needs to start, says DJ Larson. Thanks for the contribution. And BT Sports gave Pogba man of the match, says Death Boy. Yeah, I was very surprised to see Lingard got man of the match, but I don't think he was terrible. I thought he was okay. Right, let's have a sip of this and then we'll do this. Mourinho versus Pochettino. People said you can't do the preview, Mark, without talking about Mourinho Pochettino, and we want your opinion. If you could pick one of those, who would be Manchester United manager? It's close. I know everyone knows I'm going to say Mourinho, but I've got to be honest, it is close. And it's probably closer than it was 2 months ago. If you'd asked me 2 months ago, I would say, no, Mourinho all the time. He's got the history. He's got the winning. He knows how to win. He's got the personality for a big club like United. So 2 months ago, I would have said that. But after Sevilla and some of the other things that have happened since then, and his meltdowns and some of the derogatory things he said about Manchester United and defending himself, I lost a little bit of love for Jose. But I'm still Mourinho in, and I still would pick Mourinho over Pochettino at this moment in time. Simply because, despite all this great football that Spurs play, they're not above us in the league. And despite all this, Spurs should have won a league title in the last 2 years. Not this year, last year and the year before. Leicester and Chelsea's titles, if Spurs had a backbone, they were the best team in those 2 leagues, and they didn't win it. And that's Spurs' problem, and that's Pochettino's problem. I just don't know whether he's a winner. And I've watched football for many years, and I've known managers that are very managers, but they're not winners. And there's a different breed. Mourinho, okay, his football's not as good as Pochettino, but he's a winner. And I think that's still, to me, is really important for Manchester United. However, the big thing in this, and I want people to comment on this as well, is the big thing on this is that it's about, this is the thing. Boom, boom, boom. This is the thing. It's Saturday. This game is just not one game. It's not even just an FA Cup semi-final. It is huge. It is absolutely massive. There's so many subplots in it. I'm so excited about it because our season rests on this. As I said at the start, win or bust. The season's over if we don't win this. We're getting top 4 anyway. Forget it. Send people on holiday. Play the kids regardless. If we don't win on Saturday, it's over. But I also think what I've just said there about Pochettino and Mourinho, if Pochettino can beat Mourinho in a high-pressure game, it's all right doing it in the league, but this is high-pressure, world-watching, FA Cup semi-final. Whoever wins this will be the favourite because I don't fancy Chelsea or Southampton. So if Mourinho gets beaten comprehensively by Pochettino on Saturday night, then I would probably move closer towards Pochettino. I'd still probably, well, I don't know. I can't say because it's the future, isn't it? But it's massive. This game is massive. It's not just United versus Spurs in an FA Cup semi-final. It's also Pochettino versus Mourinho. It's also those United fans who think they'd like Pochettino and his style of play and his development of youth over Mourinho and his consistent use of older players and his conservative approach to football. That's how a Mourinho outer will look at it. From my point of view, it's like, can Mourinho produce something that isn't going to be grinding out a result? Can we go toe-to-toe with Spurs in some ways and let our flair players express themselves and beat them in a big game? And if we do, if we win this, I think Mourinho and the Pochettino argument is gone for a few months. If Mourinho loses this, then I think suddenly that is back on the agenda. But in a sentence, for me, Mourinho still at the moment, at least for the next 48 hours, is the man for Manchester United in my mind because he's a winner. He's got that track pedigree, and I still believe he can do what needs to be done at Manchester United. Okay. Oh, we've hit 215,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. Really, really thanks for that, everyone. Superb. We're gonna win now. We're gonna win. LVG won the FA Cup in his second season, says Zotti Moon. Yeah, look, the FA Cup in itself, I've got to say, the FA Cup in itself doesn't constitute a good season because we've had a manager 2 years ago who got the sack. But that manager didn't finish in the top 4. So Mourinho finishing in the top 4 and winning the FA Cup, it's acceptable. It's an acceptable season. It's not a great season because it's never a great season when Manchester City win the title. It's a horrific season if Liverpool win the Champions League. And it's a failure of a season if they do that because that's happened on our watch. But it's acceptable to be top 4 and the FA Cup. But it's and it's progression, but it's not fantastic by any means. But I love the FA Cup. I mean, the FA Cup when I was a kid was the biggest event in the football season. That was the game that everybody watched, and that's changed over the years. But I still love the FA Cup. Mike York says, great show. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've really, really enjoyed it. And wacky score predictions in there. We will be live tomorrow with a preview. Sorry, we won't be live with a preview tomorrow. We've got Flex at Wembley doing a preview sort of outside Wembley with a couple of Spurs fans. I'll be reacting to Jose Mourinho's FA Cup semi-final press conference, which normally is around 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to do a FIFA Predicts at some point. I don't think I'll do it on this channel. I might do it on this channel just as a one-off because it's an FA Cup semi-final. But I hope my enthusiasm has come across, and I know a lot of you are very enthusiastic about this because it's not just an FA Cup semi-final. The season rests on it, and I think in some ways Manchester United players' reputation certainly rests on it. And I think because it's Pochettino, and so many people think Pochettino could be a next Manchester United manager, it's almost Mourinho has got a lot of... Well, Mourinho's always got pressure on him. Sometimes it's unfair, I think. But Mourinho has definitely got a lot of pressure on him for this. Because if he loses it, people will just say, I want Pochettino. And White Run Guard says 1-0 United. Soph E says 3-2 United. And LVG outdated, and his Padawan is outdated as well, says Smurfin. 3-1 United, says Mike York. 3-2 United, says Video Gamer. 2-1 either way, says SB. That's what I'm going for. Lodney out. Just very quickly, Rodney, who comes on the show, is now called Lodney because he spent most of last night slating Paul Pogba, and Pogba delivered a big L. So we now call him Lodney. There you go. He will be joining me for the FA Cup semi-final watch-along on Saturday early evening, actually. So hopefully he can continue to be Lodney. Okay, right. I'm going to end it there. So thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video, and big couple of days. Stick with the United stand over the next couple of days. Got lots of build up to this. I'm absolutely pumped. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and well, let's hope we can win. Suleiman009, how about we get rid of Mourinho now, since he's going to leave anyway, and give the money he's going to waste to someone that will actually give us an identity. Let's wait till Saturday night before we start any negative. I think we've got to come together as a fan base now, haven't we? Talking about the United stand coming together, remember it is Thursday night, so that means 8:30. Well, I'm a little bit late, but I'm going to go live straight there now. Our Patreon page, it's our United Stand Members Club. $2 a month is all it is, and we did a quiz live on Tuesday night. We're doing a Q&A every Thursday. Lots of extra stuff on there. The link is in the video description. I go live on there on Thursday night after this stream, and we just sort of have a kickback and a Q&A and a bit of a laugh. So if you fancy a bit of that, get yourself on the United Stand Members Club. We are going to close it at some point because we don't want it to be massive. We're not quite there yet. I think we've got about 180, so we're going to get to about 500 and then close it down. So get in there fast. If you like the United Stand and the United Stand community, the live comments is a little bit slower on there. We have a bit of a laugh and stuff. So link in the video description for the Patreon page. I'll see you over there if you're joining us, and if not, it's dollars because it's a paid, it's American Little Miss Nintendo fan. But anyone can join that. It's not UK based or anything like that. It's worldwide Patreon. So the link is in the video description for that. I'll see you over there in a couple of minutes. And if you're not joining us there, I'll see you tomorrow for the Jose Mourinho press conference reaction. Let's bring it. Let's do it. Glory, glory, Man United.